Her poetry, plays, and prose are published by the offbeanpoets.org, Asian American Writers Workshops, The Margins, film distribution company A24, and others. Their other work has been nominated for Best of Net, Best New Poets, and Pushcart prizes. In addition, Nancy is a Voices/VONA, Watering Hole. Oh, sorry guys, bear with me. Reading off the phone is much harder than expected. Tin House and Pink Door Fellow. She has an MFA from NYU, and she works at a cemetery in Brooklyn. Let's give a warm round of applause to Nancy. Woo! Thank you.
Hi, wow, that was so sweet. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and a part of Bloodletter. I mean, it's a real honor. Sorry, all my shit is everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna read two really short things. One of them's a poem, and this one is like an excerpt from my novel. Does anyone here like into butchery or like an animal butcher, like whole animal butchery? I see some hands. Amazing. Horror magazine, we love it. So if you're not into it, that's really okay. I'm gonna teach you how to skin a rabbit today, okay? This is an excerpt from my book that it's in progress, and I'll just start reading it, okay? Thank you so much for being here. To skin a rabbit, break her legs first. Twist and pull bone forth, unwind her from herself. My knees are the hardest thing in my body, knuckles shiny like buttons. Slice around the flesh and fur there, a thin line you'll need to cleave wider, hack at the light pink, the dark red, the valentine underneath. You picked me because I'm thin. Every butcher knows, the fatter the hatter, the harder the strip. You picked me, so use your toughest hand. Hitch me to a line, spread wide and upside down. Point my stiff ears to the ground and make the cut now. A cut that could span the entire world, from mouth to anus, so you can wrestle my skin away. Slide metal through fur and push a hand through the cold wax of my innards. The membrane will stretch. Now you're going to clutch at me, at my flesh, until there's enough room to fit your whole hand. Grasping into bright meat, you fondle and dig until you widen the gap between the surface, until the fur is loosened from my body. This is called the handbag. You can pull the fur down once you've loosened the handbag enough, quick and fast, like tearing paper. I'll dangle from the string, still and corrupted, pull harder and harder. By now, the pelt will drape itself over my face in a suffocating bulge over my head and neck. Slice the fur there where tension's the greatest, and then look past the flesh and into my fur, white as smoke. The meat separated from its coat, a body hooked by the air in suspension. Wash your hands, scrubbing under your nails, then hang the fur at the wall across the room, with a thin whining in your head. This is your job. Tell yourself softly that this is your job. It's your job to watch the rabbit twitch pink, the color of spun sugar, in bakery windows. Stroke my fur from across the room. Maybe, you think, some phantom part of me can feel it. Allow me to regain myself. When you untie me, I bound up, skinny, stripped legs quaking, my nubbed limbs cast in front. I half crawl, half crab across the floor, a waltz of red liquid. Watch as my white fur falls to the floor, as I find my coat. As I slowly don it again. First I fit my back leg and then the other. It engulfs me, handbag dry and pearly. Feels good to have heat again. I repeel myself, nudging the white up over my chest, slickly guiding it over my limbs. The head comes last, my ears slotting into the coat. When redressed, I gleam a soft neon, almost fluorescent, the light that you had torn in half. I turn to you, red eyes fixed in place and holy, and finally, you speak to me. Yes, you say, yes, this is my job. You look like the color of my heart on the floor. You look like the color of the moon's silverware. You, a handbag, a fur coat, a flask of brandy, a tumor of eyeball and teeth and whisker held together by white corn silk. You who would never let anyone send you away unless you believed they would call you back one day. You who would come back to nuzzle my hand. Thank you so much. Yeah, I did not organize myself well up here, but Please bear with me as I grab things. Okay, this last thing I have to read is a poem. It's a contrapuntal. You read like one side, and then you read the other side, and then you read the two together, and it's a third secret poem. And it's very fun. Has anyone here ever seen Houseu? The cult Japanese horror movie. Thank you. One person. I love it. So in Houseu, the most famous scene is when this girl named Melody gets eaten by a piano. And it's a beautiful scene. I love this movie so much, and it's horrendous, and she's very euphoric as the piano eats her. She's like laughing while it happens. And that's all I think you need to know. This is called The Starving Duet. In Nobuhiko Obayashi's Houseu, the victim Melody is swallowed by a piano. Suffering from delusional melancholia, Bavarian Princess Alexandra believed she swallowed an enormous glass piano and thus could not move for fear of shattering herself. Okay. Number 1, the victim, Melody. Why, the instrument here stabilizes the whole parlor. This is a terrible home, full of split heads and slick rooms, spinning with blood inside me. It's nice to see some keys, even if they snap off fingers, my hand, my hair. I licked its keys with my teeth. The instrument orbs around me, turns me into its music, keys teething my skull, my legs all laughter, splayed at its mouth. Carousel of wonder, we spin crescendo, hammer and strings. You want a girl trapped in a piano, trapped in a version of this piece never played before. 2, the Princess Alexandra. Inside my belly, a palace gleaming is the arcane, the artifacts, baubles shining with polish. This is a beautiful home. I have a piano inside me, accompanying my dinner, and parts of my being ache to play. I am a girl without every limb of me lost to its dull size. I licked its keys with my teeth, my splintered self. You say it's not my glass machine. You say if you cut me open, all there would be is empty space, a spinning gear clicking and hinging on terrors. You say I'm hollow until someone puts another thing inside me to make me half of who I am. Just a girl trapped in a palace, box fugues waltzing badly, heard this way, a song that you swallowed, then sung. Okay, the Starving Duet. Why, the instrument here inside my belly stabilizes the whole parlor, a palace gleaming. This is a terrible home. The arcane, the artifacts full of split heads and slick baubles shining with polish, rooms spinning with blood. This is a beautiful home. I have a piano inside me. It's nice to see some keys accompanying my dinner, even if they snap off fingers and parts of my being. My fingers ache to play. I am a girl without my hand, my hair, every limb of me lost to its dull size. I licked its keys with my teeth. The instrument orbs my splintered self. You say it's not around me, turns me into my glass machine. You say if you cut its music, keys teething me open, all there would be is empty space. My skull, my legs all laughter, a spinning gear clicking and splayed at its mouth. Carousel hinging on terrors. You say I'm hollow of wonder. We spin crescendo until someone puts another thing inside me, hammer and strings. You want to make me half of who I am. Just a girl trapped in a piano, trapped in a girl, trapped in a palace, trapped in box fugues, waltzing badly. A version of this piece never heard this way. A song that you played before, swallowed, then sung. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bloodletter. Thank you. Happy Poetry Day.
Let's give another huge round of applause to Nancy. Woo! That was incredible. Next up, we have Anna. Anna is a Brooklyn-based poet and performer who writes about ghosts and strangeness and joy. She is the associate editor of Bloodletter magazine, and her recent work has appeared in Crensia Press, Deep Overstock, Glint, Ouch Collective, Caustic Frolic, and Club Plum. She is currently a teacher and administrator at the CUNY City Tech Writing Center. She previously served as the Artist Year resident, teaching artists and fellows at Voyages Preparatory School, has taught writing and theater across the city, and has held editorial positions at Bellevue Library Review and Two Bridges Review. A recovering classics major, Anna Laura received a BA from Bard College, specializing in Greek tragedy and poetry. Let's give a huge round of applause to Anna.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I am Anna. I'm the associate editor of Bloodletter. I am so honored to be here with Nancy and Buffy. I am obsessed with both of them. I'm gonna read some poems now. This is If Found, Please Return To. This afternoon, I walked to the library on Union and Clinton with a sheaf of neon pink paper. On the paper, I print flyers. In big letters written, "Has anyone seen my memories?" I packed the stack of flyers into my bag alongside my stapler, a roll of masking tape, and an apple. It is late morning when I begin to walk up the sidewalk, familiar stretch of a mile or so. I stop along the way each time I pass somewhere I can't remember. This coffee shop, something happened here. I see a body on the ground outside, a spilled cup of coffee bleeding into the sidewalk cracks. I don't remember. The bell chimes delicately when I enter and ask the barista if I can post one of my flyers on the message board. She tells me yes, of course, and I say thank you, and I buy a coffee and carefully tack a flyer to the corkboard, only partially covering an ad for finger-painted pet portraits. After a while of walking, there's a section of sidewalk where I think something might have been. A vase, white and ceramic, with molded flowers, and a hand reaching down to pick it up. There's a weathered wooden pole on the next corner. I staple a flyer to it. As the street passes me by, I see nothing, I feel nothing, I cannot remember anything, but soon I remember that I am supposed to be putting flyers up. I tape one to a section of scaffolding, one to the wrought iron fence surrounding a little park, stop into shops, restaurants. I place one face up in a puddle and press my shoe to it, back and forth slowly, melting it to pulp. I kneel on a brick ledge of a flower bed and plunge my fingers into the earth, digging a perfect site for planting, making sure the soil is tender and ready. I plant a flyer deep into the bed. Tucking it in will make something grow. I spear 3 flyers on the sharp points of a gate, feed one to a dog tied up in front of a bakery. I take my stapler from my bag and in 11 solid strikes have smashed the front windshield of a teal-blue Subaru station wagon, left 24 flyers on the dashboard. This takes a while. I crouch down on the sidewalk while I take so many flyers and tear them into 1,000 little slivers. And I use the back of one of my earrings to pierce a hole through each one and thread sinuous blades of grass through them. Grass and the veins of ginkgo leaves I peeled out, and pieces of luminous black garbage bag I clawed off and stretched carefully to be the width of a stamen. I thread the shreds like beads, and when I am done, I have such a long necklace. And the neon pink of the flyers is the same pink of the plastic stars you get in children's jewelry making kits. I wrap it around my neck once, twice, and twine it around my body, around each of my limbs. I lie down on the sidewalk, tangling myself in the necklace. I am in the necklace, and I look up at the sky, and I try to remember you. Thank you. This is trust. My mother always tells me, you've got to pick your gods. She says this, leaning at a crow's angle over a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, through the oiled steam of a stir-fried dinner. From under the tumble of her quilted bedclothes, voice muffled behind a peeling murder mystery. Shouted out the back door before the deadbolt has been undone. If you worship false gods, she says, your bones and your eyes and your mind will brittle and fall away into nothing. I imagine her sometimes tending a garden of nothing, the gravekeeper of false god worshippers, either with her hair gray and middle-parted, short and severe, lips pursed in a respectful red line as she tends, or with a long white braid down her back that persists, swinging over her shoulder and into the earth. Here she weeps and laughs, and the weeds tremble. She salts the garden. It burns. She says, through the acid hiss of pain dissolving, you've got to pick your gods. This is, oh no, 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 keep Cassandra away from the water. Mama, Cassandra told me to stay away from end tables today, and though no one ever has before, I somehow feel it somewhere low in my gut. I feel that I should believe her. I think she knows things that no one else does. She looks right at the sun sometimes, and I think she's screaming, but there's no sound coming from her lungs. The muscles around her eyes seem to scream, and sometimes her lips, I see they're just a half an inch apart. Maybe the sound is pitched too high, maybe the dogs can hear it, and maybe they spend all day running to her when she calls. They run all day, muscles rippling, eyes closed to the chill, wind shy. Maybe when they finally get to her, they dance together, dance with her on the beach, kicking up constellations of sand in joyful, wild, jerking body angles, and maybe she tilts her head up to the moon, warm, white everything, and she howls with all the voices of the dogs like lightning in her arched throat, and the dogs stretch their necks towards the glow to howl with her, and well, they just can't. They can't, just like Cassandra can't during the daylight hours. The sun is vitriol, the sun is violence. She presses a sure-footed ankle into the sand, toes pointed west towards the sea, towards the gentle moon. The silent dogs watch her walk towards the sea, towards the moon, walk towards, oh, keep Cassandra away from the water, please. I will not go into any room with an end table in it today. My hangnail is still healing from last week when she warned me to keep away from sharp-cornered wooden chairs. Thank you. And this last one is called Youth. I deconstruct the train, carefully, methodically, loosing a tooth from its bed. There's a church I pass, out of place, green moss loom in a sprawl of right-angle garages and floating loams of cardboard and tin. I think there should be subway seats in there, or pews in here, but I've never been inside there, so I could never bring them here. I pray to the God of my youth, who would have lived inside a subway pew, who ate cloud and would not be quiet, who was dirty and mean and wild and kind, and who wore air pocket push-up bras stuffed with smooth marble carvings and magnifying glasses for mystery solving, who only ever stomped or floated, who had sharp teeth that shone brassy in the day, glowed with ringing harsh at night. I asked the God a question. I'm not ignored as I thought I might be. Thank you.
Awesome, let's give another round of applause for Anna. Woo! So good. Our last reader for this session is Buffy. Buffy is an artist and writer producing work about living horrors and dying beauties. Let's welcome Buffy to the stage.
Hi. I'm going to read two pieces. One from a couple of months ago, and another that was a bit of a spiral this morning. I'll just begin. Contortion is a temporal practice, a twist in time that bides itself, with knuckles torn raw and bleeding their unwritten words. She places herself on the edge, just so, ever so slight are her shifts in position, her alterations in grip. How much force would it take for her foreskin to rip? Unfortunately, she knows the answer. One rehearsed in her head and performed in a bed. When she was 11, the tissue lost mass, her external gash, an open wound to be gnashed in the maw of the medical stage. The burning antiseptic, rage stung with no agent to numb, but she'd find other ways. This is called Understudied. There's something about this that's overburdened and understudied, about you as such, overlooked and under ruddy palms, drawn wet, then dry with spatter, slown down from endless gush to intermittent yet continuous exasperation. I'm having a horrible time understanding why things had to happen this way, why they feel like they've ended, and why I feel like I've lost part of myself again and again. The same part each time? No. And yes. The same part as in the same place, but a different part grown stranger, more tired, rougher, and more scarred each time. The wounds, the marrings on the parts in their sequence, the muscles degraded, decayed into, desecrated into something pulled from the Vulgate, a dead tongue in a sea of salt upon Sodom. With the body corrupted and decay having begun upon the loss of life between us, with something predestined toward whatever path was unfolding, how could we expect anything other than death given the circumstances? I'm having a horrible time feeling us through the water's frost. I'd caught my breath on wind gusting through my guts, esophagus shredded to ribbons, ice slicing my throat. Clouds turned knives and descended upon aspiration. Constriction isn't the name for the glacial snake caught around my throat, no. Around my neck, you're cold, you're reptilian, your wounds, our secrets. In scales torn from flesh, they dance upon the butchery. You're the sandpapered viper in the brood. I'm your tail. I cut myself off from the body of you and I eat what falls away. Somehow I keep greedily swallowing the whole of the parts that fall away. Each tastes more bitter. Each gnaws and grinds with more difficulty. Each swallows with more strain. You attempt to swallow the spell cast in this ritual of the flesh as if your life depends on it, which it does. The attempted consumption coughs itself up, displays another dissection to lift to your lips, to touch with soft hands worked rough by sordid submission, misunderstood, misshapen, malaligned by the throngs of eyes hungry for you. The constriction keeps pulling. It's less like staunching a wound and more like suffocating prey. Your jaws won't initially fit around the lies you've gathered, but your tongue knows how to make do. Mine too. The death you swallow now, the fear you devour, the loss you imbibe, bends itself towards something that looks like nothing familiar from its undesire. Something like me. I'd spoken to you after hours of panic. We'd somehow gotten to an end I'd never foreseen, which, of course, is the natural progression of something like this, motifs drawn under eclipses, subject to the nodes and their paths of selenic unfolding. Those we forestalled and don't know if we'll take, crescent roads and quarter miles pocked by volcanic craters and basins. Things lost along the way, on the shore of the sky between hells, on the train of slime, behind cold hides, behind dead skin shorn off by jagged rock upon which our bodies were ground. I've missed them. I've missed you. But I dare not ask for them, and I dare not reach for you. My method is something akin to killing myself, but somehow more dramatic. Your method mirrors and refracts my own. A shift palpable, but the product noticeably derivative. Your method's got fragments of shards and fractures and hearts, those taken by you and strung up in a line, all of them mine, carved out again and again, torn from inside, pull in and around the truth, pull the nerve ending and fondle little white lies. I've still a churning in my guts, bile rising, acidic, fire made from chemical rot, my blood carrying a grotesque synthesis. Something we share from another vantage, another shared crystal formed under pressure, this time without our understudied misdirection, our shared indiscretion. We both lost ourselves. I can't do it again. I'll cut off my hand before we dance the same dance. This is not meant to be derision, but fuck you. Thank you.